The beauty of our Bahamas. Let's take a minute and admire this. We have to make this once again paradise for Bahamians, because as it stands right now, it is paradise for foreigners, hell for Bahamians. So much beauty, so much wealth, so little is passed on to us. But this morning, I just want to just briefly respond to some input that the Venerable KCX made in regards to the Constitution supremacy and the laws of the Bahamas, more so dealing with the traffic control laws that's been put out there. Let me just first start with 2 points a lot of people may not realize. You know, the 2 points I want to start with, it starts with the traffic laws. One, a lot of people may not realize that, you know, as you go about getting traffic tickets, if you ever go to the road traffic department, and let's say you haven't renewed your license in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, automatically they tell you that you must pay for those previous years. So what to do? One second here. What you do is when you go to pay for those 5 years, one has to begin to question if you have to pay for those 5 years, then that would mean that your license was never truly expired. You don't pay for an expired product. When you go to renew your car, you know, people say, oh, your tag is expired. They put it on the side of the road and tell you your tag is expired. So they give you a ticket, and then when you go to renew your tag, they said, oh, you owe for the 3 years. You were not in here. So how could you owe for 3 years if your tag was expired and you're getting a ticket for having for not having a valid tag? The mere fact that you didn't pick it up doesn't make it invalid. So these are the stupidity of our laws that we simply seem to just be compounding upon it. You go for a business license. You haven't picked up your business license in 6 years. They say you do not have a business license, but when you go to the business license office, they said you have to pay for the business license you had for the last 6 years. So is it expired or is it existing? But the KCX, but the main subject is, and we talk about the supremacy of the Constitution, and I think KCX, you touched on a very powerful tool. That when you have a right of assembly, you have a right to protest. And somehow this law has morphed that you need consent to assembly and a consent to protest. One time you used to write in and notify the police for safety reasons that you were about to be assembling and you were concerned that in case something happens, you want law enforcement there. And somehow we have morphed this law to believe that this request is now supreme to the Constitution and that you must get in writing consent to assemble, consent to protest. It's garbage. You need no permission. Even if you have 10,000 people, you need no permission. How are you to predict the volume of people who will join you? You need no permission from the police department, and I invite people to ask them to put in writing, where do you need consent to assemble anywhere in the Bahamas? Just ask them where. With the exception of private property, you could go wherever you want to go. Government property is public property. And so as such, you do not...
movement across the length and breadth of this country.
Right. You do not need any permit from any government to protest, from any police officer.
There's something...
Go ahead.
Let me say it right. There's something I forgot to even mention, you know. Me, myself, I don't use a cell phone because I know that it is distracting when you're on the road, especially in school zones. But you can't penalize me if I could use the phone and not be distracted. Not just that, when you think about the penal code, you mentioned something earlier where you asked if a person wants the assembly. Article 19 of the Constitution tells us you could ask them to invoke Article 19, where the police have to protect you to exercise your constitutional rights. So there's so many things that we've allowed them to get away with. They could tell you, yes, the penal code says that you need to ask for permission. But then again, if you read Article 2 of the Constitution, it tells you that, listen, This Constitution, if any law or treaty does not line up, it becomes the whole booklet. I'm getting a call, and it becomes null and void.
No,
Agree?
yeah, no, absolutely. This is where people have to understand the constitutional right. The Constitution is here to protect particular rights. Nothing anybody can say to you, write on a piece of paper, pass in Parliament, can be ultra virus, contradictory to the Constitution. So the Constitution is supreme. And so we have been giving away, slowly allowing them to erode the rights that we have within the Bahamas. We've been allowing them to misinterpret, misread, and tell us what the Constitution says. We need to begin to understand and read it for yourself as to what he's saying. What you said with KCX concerning the use of a cell phone in the car, the way I heard it said in Parliament, I didn't read the law yet, but he says holding a cell phone in the car is violation of the law. And you made a very important point concerning violation of privacy. I want to know how they will explain the justification for pulling me over for holding a phone in my hand, or even proof that I was in use of it if the law requires that it says use of a cell phone. How do you prove that I'm using a cell phone? If I'm talking, I can have a cell phone with no batteries and still be talking. Am I now to be charged with the use of a cell phone? And so these are these asinine laws that we keep making. And you mentioned, so coming back to that cell phone thing, but you make this whole concept of the law concerning tints. There can be no such law simply saying tints. There has to be an instrument for which you can measure the degree of tint. The whole purpose of tint is, it says, to be that the person should not be obstructed, the view. But that becomes arbitrary at the system we're using. Because essentially, a guy can walk up to a regular window and be so, and you know, sometimes you walk in, the window's not even tinted. You walk up to the car, you can't see the person. He could claim, I can't see you in the car, and so the natural tint that came from the vehicle, a slight tint or whatever they have, is now in violation of the law. It has to be a set of standard. And so that when he comes up, there's a device in the United States and other places they put on the window to tell you the degree of tint. And they say in the law that tint above this grade is prohibited on the front windows or whatever else. We just have some law that says, oh, you can't have tints, or you could have tints, or whatever it is. The police themselves can never tell you, nor they have any devices to be able to tell the level of tint. I've went to court before, and I've asked them, please show me what level of tint is allowed so that I can compare it to the level of tint that I have, and then also please tell me what device, by what measure, the policeman had made a determination that my tint was too dark, that he personally could not see me, but the other policeman could. Okay? So you know, these are the things where we just seem to make up laws and copy or do what others have told us to do without any type of foresight into it. Now going back to the aspect you said concerning the cell phone use, and the question then becomes is, what is the standard? You just can't arbitrarily say the use of a cell phone is illegal. What is the, I mean, should the policeman have to stop you for holding the phone? Or do the policeman then make a determination that you committed another violation, which leads them to then be able to ask about the cell phone? But clearly, you cannot say holding a cell phone or using a cell phone. I can have this. I can have a cell phone in my hand and supposed to be not be using it. Am I now in violation of the law for just holding up a cell phone or any device in my hand?
If you listen to the word,
imagine this. Listen to this, Casey. If the cell phone becomes a distraction, if talking becomes a distraction, then talking in the car should be a distraction. If holding any device in your hand becomes a distraction, then holding a comb or any other device in your hand is also similarly the same distraction. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're saying anything. Listen to the wording in his that, you know, they don't never write these things. Someone wrote for him to read. They had no statistical data that these cell phone causes accident in the Bahamas. They talk about 28 accidents that took place in the Bahamas, and he attribute all of them were caused by cell phone. And he said it could have been caused by the cell phone. And we got to stop running the country on happenstance, man. You know, I'm not gonna let them get away with it.
I will
put my life on the line to straighten my country up. And I'm asking anybody out there that wants this country back, we can win it back. What we have is something so unique. And there are many countries that don't have this constitution. We have so much leverage under the control of the government, but we just need to know. And so in a couple of weeks, we'll be in Roslyn Square. We will exercise our constitutional rights of a freedom of assembly. We're not asking for permission. We understand that they will lock us up, but then we will win this case. And then we go before the Supreme Court, having them understand that our constitutional rights have been infringed on. And we want the Constitution to supersede this and this penal code to be done away with. That's bottom line. And then we take our country back. And then we could demand that, hey, guess what? We're not moving. I'm taking this all the way, C. Allen, because we understand there ain't nothing that has been debated in the House of Assembly that will benefit the Bahamian people. You understand? I want to talk on another show, but this oil spill.
Oh yeah, we got to talk
Bahama.
about that. I don't think people
Right, so
understand I don't think the people, sometimes today or something, or even tomorrow, when everybody's away from their desk, from work, whatever, they can listen. I don't think people understand the enormity of the disaster. This could be almost a world record set in our.
Okay, let me tell you what I can do. What I can do tomorrow, I'm going to go up there tomorrow while you and I have this conversation and show the people how they're cleaning up. I will go up there tomorrow and dig the area that they say is cleaned up already and show you guys they're cleaning up and they're skimming off the top of the dirt. And the oil is still in there. The dirt is not back to the original color. It's still in there. It's now oil sand.
Let me say something. The Exxon Valdez was 250,000 gallons. The BP
Let's not have that conversation.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. I want people, but let me say something. Yeah, let me go back to this vehicle. I want people to begin to demand, when you get stopped for an expired tag, go to court and ask the judge, which one are you to pay? Are you to pay the fine, or are you to pay the money in the registry in the road traffic that says you owe for 3 years or whatever? Because you can't have both. If you have a ticket for an expired tag, then you can't be owing for a tag that you didn't have. If you have a ticket for an expired license or whatever they say, then you can't be owing for the license in this place. If you get ticketed for a tinted window, what is the measurement for which they use it? What's the calibration for which they determine how that window was too dark? If you get a speeding ticket, what is the calibration of the machine? What is the expertise of the person using that machine for the calibration of the window tints or the calibration of the speeding tickets? The problem is we keep doing MSU, making shit up. We need to begin to have reasonable law in the 21st century that actually deals with the reality of where we exist today. If you're holding a cell phone, what evidence that they will have, which grounds they would have to prove that you were actually in use of the cell phone, talking on the cell phone or whatever else? Are they going to then subpoena Alive or BTC or any other? What if you're using data? How are they going to prove these type of things? You see, we have to stop copying things or following the mandate that has been dictating to us, and we want to fit in rather than standing out. And so we have to begin to examine all of the laws in the books that we have been happenstance passing for years and years, and slowly allowing them to erode our rights. You give them an inch and they will continue to take it until they have a mile. And so Bahamians, we have to begin to question, what is it these laws are passing without our 5-year celebrities just go in, pass it, and try to market to us that this is the right thing?
Yeah. See, Alan, do me a favor. Before we go, we don't make it too long. The Constitution, Article 21, your rights to privacy. That's your private vehicle.
No, that's a powerful point that you make.
So you're trying to tell me my house now, I'm in my house, you want to be able to, I can't put tints on my windows because you won't be able to see in my house. Right. This is my private house, my dwelling. So you're going to tell me I can't use my cell phone in my house also?
That's you see what I'm saying? One leads to the other. This is why I ask you, what law have you violated for the policeman to determine that he has a right to now invade to step into your private boundaries? Does them giving you a tag gives you a right? No, because that's what I'm saying. If you park in your yard using your cell phone, are they now saying that the fact that you're sitting in your car using your cell phone now is a violation of the law? And so what happens is we have to begin to question, why are we doing things and to what ends it means? Remember, there's an agenda to devoid you of the rights the Constitution give you, and your
Amen.
silence becomes your consent.
Yeah, and see the thing about it, at the end of the video that I released this morning, you saw a picture of two young people in class, and they have in their hands the Constitution. And we're going to advocate that this Constitution, the fundamental rights of our Constitution, like an officer saying you're under arrest, they need to tell you what law you've broken. If they tell you you need to move from a certain area, they need to tell you what law you're breaking. You have a freedom of assembly. And we're going to make sure that this government and the governance of this country is ran under the Constitution and not the Penal Code. And if you're gonna get a new penal code, it has to line up with the Constitution. Yeah. Bottom line.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Like you go into Parliament, they tell you no technology is allowed in Parliament. Then you go upstairs and everybody has technology. Randomly, a guy next to me has his phone. Everybody in Parliament is not paying attention. They're using their phone where they're supposed to be paying attention to the debate. And so the question is there no technology or are there certain rules of exception? You have to have clear rules. Nobody can tell you, where is it? Oh, it's the rule. What rule for who? So the rule is for me, but the gentleman next to me who came in with me, there's no rule for him. He has no special privilege than me. He's not a member of Parliament. He's not a member of the media. He's not a member of anything. How do you say no technology? And technology is everything that you use. In the bit, if they said no technology, then take down the cameras, take down the television, take down the microphone they're using. See, this is where the stupidity of just saying things for the sake of saying it or trying to fit in as opposed to standing out. And I think we as the Bahamians have to begin to go back to this document. And you made a powerful point. The Bahamas Constitution, first let me tell people, the Constitution is to protect, prohibit, or permit. The Bahamas Constitution is one of the most unique in the world that has been misinterpreted for maybe almost 46 years, 48 years. Because there's only on 2 occasions in our Constitution that it permits discrimination, what we call it. One is in marriage and one is in gaming. There is no prohibition in our Constitution, none. When I say prohibition, I mean to prevent us from doing something, and there's nothing but protection. So our Constitution is so unique, we could just do almost anything that we want in law, whether it's from immigration to other different things. Just like it says for the gaming, there's no constitutional prohibition against gaming. It simply says that should you desire to make a law that prohibits it, you don't have a right to question it. There's no prohibition against marriage, except that it says if you create a law that you can. So we have to understand that maybe these people we sending to Parliament have no understanding of the very document we send them there to protect. And we must begin to get competence, not qualified, but competence. They keep telling you this one is qualified, this one is qualified. We see many laws that is always struck down, always correction. We must get people who are competent in understanding the Constitution and understanding the direction that we want to go into the future, into our next sitting of the House of Assembly.
See, Alan, we can go on and on. I mean,
I know. Yes, sir. But thank you so much.
Just the other day. Yeah. Let me end on this point. The government of the Bahamas have officers from other countries in our country right now, from Jamaica, Trinidad, and that's good and fine to come out and help keep law and order. But I went to go into a building the other day, and they told me I couldn't go in. I said, I'm with the press. I'm licensed to go in here. I'm from the 4th estate. And they said to me, I can't go in. I said, I'm asking for Article 19 to be invoked right now. I said, do you know what it is? He didn't know. The officers here in the Bahamas did not even know what Article 19 was. I was asking for my rights to be upheld under the Constitution, to move through the length and breadth of this country. So there's so much we could talk about. And we got tomorrow morning, okay?
Right.
We will go live. I'll go to like by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning when the guys, I don't know if they're working on Saturdays, and I will go into the pine forest. I'll have my live again. Thank you guys so much, man. Beautiful service. After the hurricane, they didn't have no cell towers. The towers were down. And what do you call the portable towers?
Cows. Cellular on wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's so awesome. And alive, I don't know if I can get some props, or we can get some props of bigging you guys up. You guys are alive. That's all I can say. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to take another team member of mine so that I could actually dig a hole into the pine forest. Then we can discuss this oil spill from top to bottom. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
And I
sir.
want, listen, if you guys care about this country, share everything, you know, what Sea Island is putting out and I'm putting out, share it, because we are patriots. Not that people use that thing with nationalism as a nationalist. We are patriots now, man. We
Yes,
protecting our borders.
and tell your members of parliament and the other leaders, if we say something wrong, tell them to come,
Why they
stand up, and
call us
challenge
out?
us. Challenge us.
Yes. All right. So Sea Island, thanks a lot, man.
All right, thank you so much, man, and just keep up the good work you're
All right.
doing, man. Loving it.
Yes. Loving it. Yeah, man. You too, man. Great.
All right.